Hey everybody, it's me, Crazy Gamer World here, and today I want to make a video discussing some things that I kind of want to just get off my chest. As you probably have seen from my latest community post, I have been thinking about some stuff in my head, and this stuff has to revolve around certain situations that I've been dealing with in the past, things that I've done, and just how I was when I was on the internet, including being in the me community. And to put it simple, my time of how I've been back in the day was pretty dreadful. There have been several things that I've done that I just feel completely miserable for now. So I want to make this video today to kind of discuss about it and own up for the petty stuff that I did in the past. Now, before I begin, I want to mention that yes, I know that what I did was in the past. I'm not going to use that excuse that that it was all in the past so people will forget about it. No, people don't forget what I did. The past never goes away. It will always be a thing that remains in my history book. Like, it's something I'm not just going to get rid of. So, I feel like it's important that I bring this up because of the fact that I want to be honest. So, let's begin. Around 2020 or no, around 2019, like Christmas of 2019, I first joined YouTube with my old account being Nathan the Me Gamer. Or I think I was called something else back in the day. And at first, I wasn't planning on being a part of the Me community. I was planning to be just a simple gaming YouTuber. And until I discovered the Me community in 2020. It was a community of people who, you guessed it, liked me's. And I thought it was pretty fun. It sounded pretty fun, so I joined it, and I got to meet several people in there. However, during the Me community, my time when I was in the Me community, I myself found myself doing some very, very annoying stuff. And I'm going to bring up some of the things I did when I was in the Me community. For example, I would always, I would cause petty drama from being very careless with what I said to others. Like my jokes. Like I would be careless about my jokes. Whenever there was someone that was upsetting me, I would handle the situation like in a completely childish way. And there were even times where I made certain videos that looking back I completely regretted. Like, my old channel back then was just me being extremely stupid and childish. And it's a channel that it's one of those channels that I never, ever, ever in a million years want to think about again. Which is one of the biggest reasons why I pretty much deleted it. But with that said, some of the childish videos I made back then included, being immature about losing against certain characters in games. and even facelifting or just being childish, like destroying Mii's designs, that kind of thing. And to those who noticed it back in the day, I just want to say that I regret making those videos. I don't ever want to make those kind of videos again, which is why I kind of moved on, because I realized this is not interesting to do. This is just annoying. So, to those who were not a fan of me doing that back then, I just want to say I apologize for acting immature in the past, and I'm sorry to those who I've handled situations wrong with in the past, because I would end up hating those instead of just resolving my issues and letting certain things I would take some things that people say and I would take it the wrong way. I should have at least talked my situation out instead of being childish about the situation and hating on them and causing unnecessary drama for no reason. For like how I did back in 2021 with one person, which despite the fact, me and him, we kind of resolved that situation a long time ago. It still bothers me that this whole situation happened because of my stupidity. But yeah, so I want to apologize to everyone for how I acted back in 2021, 2022, and partially 2023, because I was very, very immature back then, and I am trying my best to become more mature. So, now that I've brought that up, I also want to talk about, the situation involving recent events that I've been doing. I think partially 2024 and some of 2025, I did not realize this, but I was being a complete jerk. Like, I was a nonstop jerk to several people over the most stupid reasons ever. I'm going to give an example of a couple of people. For example, there was one user known as Joseph Jones, or I don't know what his username is now, but I'm gonna call him Joseph. Yeah, he used to do he made live streams of him role playing, and I was not a fan of him doing role play because lately the Mii community has been very controversial for the role plays, and I did not want Joseph to become one of those freaks. I was trying to kind of warn him to be careful. Well, as the role play continued, they started introducing him, and a couple of other people started featuring some very concerning role play. And after it got to a point where it got to a point where I eventually had enough, and I let my anger with him go too far. Because I would eventually troll him along with some other people just because of my anger with the roleplay. And it got to a very, very, very serious point where he would get mad along with some other users. And I did not realize this, but some of the stuff that was going on back then went too far. Like, and I feel like this is partially my fault because I did not handle my situation right. I just wanted, them to realize their wrongdoing and the fact that they are being careless. But what I didn't realize was I was the one that was pretty much being careless. I was pretty much being a complete jerk. Because while, some people might say that I had every reason to be concerned about roleplay because, of what the me community was known for back in the day, it doesn't excuse what I did. Because the way I handled the situation, while I may not seem like the worst of intentions when it came to just wanting Joseph to stop the roleplay, the way I went about it was all wrong. I shouldn't have trolled him. Instead, I should have just talked my situation out with him or just simply ignored it. But instead, I chose to act foolish, and it even resulted with one of my former friends being gone. And I feel like that's partially because of me. And I did not realize this for a while until lately. One of my friends, that being Patrick, someone who was a great friend to me back then, I was treating like dirt along with several other people. And it resulted with him being gone from YouTube for a while. And honestly, I feel, the more I look at it, I just feel deeply guilt. I just feel completely guilty about what I did. Like, I didn't want that to happen, but I ended up being one of the causes of it happening. And now I feel genuinely upset at myself for it. It's one of those things where I doubt I can forgive myself for. So, Joseph, if you're watching this, I know it's not going to do much for me to say sorry for what I did, but I really am sorry. I should never have bothered with with what you were doing with the whole role playing. I should have been more mature about the situation. I shouldn't have trolled and I should not have made the choice to act like a fool. If you don't forgive me, I completely understand. But I do want you to know that I do deeply regret what I did. And I've heard that you have been working hard to change, which if that's the case, then good. I'm glad for you. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Now, there are a couple of other people who I was a complete jerk to in the past, or saw myself being a complete jerk to, without even realizing it. One of the people was Mad Bun. I was a complete jerk to him, mainly because I wanted him to kind of solve the situations with certain drama, like, maturely, because he kept, back then I thought he was handling drama kind of immaturely, but whenever I look at it now, I start to realize he's kind of not entirely wrong for getting mad for the way people are acting towards him. because there were some people that were just taking the harassment too far. And honestly, it really was wrong of me to be a complete jerk to him. So, Mad Bun, if you're watching this, I know I've already done it, but I do apologize for how I acted to you. And I know you've mentioned that you forgave me for what I did, but yeah, I do think what I did to you and a couple of other people was just not okay. So, I also want to touch on two more individuals because I feel like these are the individuals who not only made me realize how low I have fallen, but they've also helped teach me. I mean, and because these are people who pretty much are some of the biggest reasons I was able to get through a situation. And these two people are Games and Travels with Emmanuel and Copro. Copro was someone who back in the day I wasn't a fan of because, you know, I thought, again, he was someone that was pretty childish. But, you know, the more I've started to talk with him more, and I've kind of realized that, you know, he's not really a bad person. He's definitely a flawed person, that's for sure. But that's pretty much what we all are. And the more I've interacted with him, the more I started to realize he is a guy that still has a good motivation. And the more I think about it, the more I've realized I've been a complete jerk to him. And when I could have easily talked with him in a more mature way and get to know him a little better. And now I feel completely guilty. So, Copro, I know that I've pretty much so if you're watching this, Copro, I just want to say that I think the way I treated you back in 2024 and early 2025 was not cool. It was not okay. Like, and I deeply apologize. I mean, I kind of tried to, but I feel like I didn't do a good job doing it, so I want to do it here, Copro. I am truly sorry for what I did to you. You're not a bad person at all. You're a great guy. And you did not deserve the treatment that I gave you back in the day. And I have been working hard to try to make sure I don't treat people like him like garbage ever again. And as for Emmanuel, Emmanuel is someone who has pretty much taught me a good lesson about you know, when it comes to being a good friend. He is someone that at first I found myself not liking, not mainly because of him, but it was because there were certain people he was associated with that back then I was not a fan of. Which, I'm going to be honest, me not liking him for that was extremely, and I mean extremely petty. I find that reason very stupid. So, because I think Emmanuel in general is a good person. And I never realized that. But he is a guy that does have good intentions, and I just never took the moment to actually realize that, because I was too drowned by some of the people that I didn't like that he was associated with. Like, for example, with Joseph. Like, back then, of course. So, Emmanuel, if you are watching this, not only do I want to say that I'm sorry for how I treated you back in the day, but I also want to say thank you for teaching me the importance about being on the internet. And just the importance of being careful and thinking about other people. It shows me that not everyone is bad. Everyone can have their moments where they can change. That's what he's pretty much taught me, is that even the people who I may not like, it doesn't change the fact that they're still human beings. They, like all of us, have done some bad things. And they can always find ways to improve. And I never took the moment to realize that until recently. So, I just want to say again, Emmanuel, thank you for what you've done for me. And the way I viewed you back then, I regret it. And this goes for everyone else who I've made upset in the past, such as me being a complete jerk or taking my anger too far. To everyone who I've upset in the past, I just want to say that I'm sorry for that. I should have never acted the way I did. I should have at least, been more mature about the situations. I should have not been a complete jerk. And if you guys don't forgive me, then, it's fine. I can't act like what I did is going to be forgotten about because, it was all in the past. No, it's something that people are going to always remember. So I think me owning up and, telling the truth about what I've done back then is the right thing to do. So I want to make this video today of me taking accountability, as it's what is the best thing to do. And it's also taught me another lesson, that being to always be careful about who you associate with. Because another part of my motivations of why I did what I did was because I thought I was making some other people happy, like some of the people that I was associating with. Like when it came to the whole thing with Joseph and Mad Bun, how I was being a complete jerk to them. I thought I was making other people who I was associated with happy. No, I was not. I was only making myself lower. And that's kind of the point that I want to get into, is that it's always important to have that low point. Like, I think hitting a low point while definitely not a good thing from someone, it also can be a good thing at the same time. Like, it's not great because you really messed up, but it can also be a great thing because it makes you start to learn your errors, and it gives you a desire to want to do better. And that's kind of the thing I want to do. I want to grow to do better. I want to grow to make sure that I learn from my mistake. And throughout the end of 2025, I was left thinking to myself the past actions I've done, and I've realized how much of a fool I have been. So I want to prove to myself that I can do better. I want to prove to you guys that I can do better. And that's not something that I can do with just saying it, obviously. The only way I can get redemption is by showing everyone my attempts to never do the same mistake I made before. And I want to make sure that I do better in future. That's what I have learned. It's always the low point when people start to realize where they're wrong and how they can use their wrongdoings to improve themselves. And I want to do that. I can't say I'm going to end up doing it, but I will say that I want to try. I will do what I can to try to do better. So again, to everybody who I've upset in the past, those who were, affected, and even to those else that I didn't mention that were, that I was being a complete jerk to in the past, I apologize for what I did. And I will make sure that my old self from 2021 to 2025, where I was a complete jerk to those, I will make sure that that side of me never comes back again. And before I end this video, I just want to say thank you to everybody else who has been there and supported me throughout the whole way through. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you to people like Swatness, Striker, Miguel, Pascal, and many others. Even some of the people that I thought were not good people, like CoPro and Emmanuel. Like y'all, you two especially, y'all have shown me what it truly means to be a human being, and I appreciate that. You guys, whether or not y'all have done a good thing, whether or not y'all have done several bad things or screwed up, there are also occasional good stuff in the mountain of bad stuff that have been done. There are sides of you that have shown the potential you have in others. In one way or another, you all have your good moments. And you can use that to help improve the bad. I hope this video was a decent attempt at an apology. I want to thank you guys for watching. And I will see y'all next time. Later, folks.